This week on Foods with Flavor, we're making pasta fagioli with a twist. So why pasta fagioli? It's easy. We're trying to get our daughter to eat more meat, more protein, more vegetables. An easy way to do that is in a soup they like. She loves Olive Garden. She loves their pasta fagioli. So all I had to do was recreate something that's similar to it. So what I did, instead of cutting big chunks of vegetables, I'm grating them with like a fine cheese grater. So when they cook down, they're almost part of the stock. You can't even tell the vegetables are there. Naturally, they're going to eat them because they can't see anything to pick out. Same thing with tomatoes, using crushed tomatoes or something not with big chunks in it. And then the kale, I'm cutting it really, really fine. So what I did is I came home with this big bunch of kale. My wife's like, "What's that for?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to feed it to Katie." And she's like, "Well, there's no way she's going to eat it." So I'm like, "Oh, yes, she will." So the idea here is if you chop it finely, it looks like parsley or a fresh herb in the soup, and the kids don't know that it's actually a vegetable that they can eat. So when you look at the soup in the end, it looks more like just meat and beans, but there's definitely more to it than meets the eye. So take a look and I'll show you how it's done. So here I've used a cheese grater to finely grate celery and carrot. Now the carrot is really the only nutritional vegetable. Then I'm just browning meat, and then I'm going to drain that fat once that's done. So next I'm taking some olive oil in a big pot, and I'm going to add some onions. And I'm just going to caramelize those onions until they are ready. It takes about 10 minutes. And then I'm adding the garlic. I don't add the garlic before because it will burn. Here I'm adding a little bit of red pepper. She actually likes this spicier and hot. This is an optional ingredient. So once I've let that cook for about a minute, I'm now adding the ground meat to the mixture. So we'll mix that up and we'll be good to go on. So the next ingredient I'm adding is a large can of tomatoes. And notice these are crushed tomatoes. For children, I don't add big chunks of tomatoes because they're going to see it and pick it out. So crushed tomatoes. And then just some standard beef stock. And this is a simple recipe. I'm not using anything fancy like even fresh herbs. Everything's dried. It's just a really simple recipe that we're going to be using here. And the carrots you saw were nutritious, but the celery is really just for the stock that I added earlier. So I'm adding just a teeny bit of salt because we're going to add more salt later on. This is just a fresh Italian blend mix. Now I'm adding the carrot and that celery. So here I'm adding a hot sauce, and this isn't like Tabasco. I'll list it down. I actually added a habanero sauce to it as well. She wanted it spicier. So that was the first batch of kale, and then I added more of it. And that's going to cook down from being neon green. You won't notice it in the end. So here I'm adding 2 different types of beans, some oregano, and some water. The water just to reduce the amount of salt. All right, and here I'm adding just a little bit more of that beef stock. So once that's done, we're going to let it simmer for 45 minutes and reduce. Add the fresh cheese, and then the soup should be done. And you'll notice that I do not add the noodles to the soup. They just absorb the liquid. And I don't do that, so I always have them separate. So hope you enjoy it, and hope you can get your children to eat some kale. Don't forget to subscribe, follow me on social media, and click on the link below to see a recommended video.